Hi, everyone. This is Lisa from Zaro Celebrations, and I am very excited to introduce you to someone today. You might have seen her work in Brides Magazine and all over Instagram, being shared by wonderful planners and amazing styled shoots. Her name is Michelle Levy-Phelan, and she is the owner of Forever Brooch Bouquets. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, how are you? Thank you
Hi.
for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us today. I see one of your beautiful bouquets, or actually a few of them right behind you there.
Yes, actually, this right there, all the way at the top, is my original one from my wedding in 2011. So that's what started it all. And it's
Oh,
still, yeah,
beautiful.
it's been sitting up there for quite some time.
Well, it is gorgeous. I love that
Thank
display behind you. It's very
you.
elegant. So,
Thank you.
so many people invest in real flowers for their wedding or other special events, which are gorgeous as well. But tell me, what is the difference when people do a bouquet with you, which is brooches and so much more to it? Tell me how that makes a difference, whether it's just for the bridal bouquet, maybe a boutonniere, or for the entire party.
Well, flowers are gorgeous. I am totally on board with having real flowers. I mean, you can't really replace that. What we do is a little bit of a different type of aesthetic. It gives a little bit more meaning to certain things. So our pieces, we hand make, hand sew, hand cut every single flower that you see using upcycled clothing and add jewelry and wire everything in. So the clothing can be anything from your grandmother's 1947 wedding dress, for instance, or your brother's army fatigues, or your grandfather's t-shirts from Vietnam. All of those things would be sewn together, cut, and made into these beautiful flowers, and then stemmed with lightweight wire. So every piece that we do, whether it be a bouquet or whether it be something in your hair or something that you even put on your wall or wear on your wrist, same idea. We don't use any styrofoam. These pieces are really pieces of art to keep forever and carry so much meaning with it. And you're able to pass it down from generation to generation.
For people that aren't really familiar with upcycling or upteaking and things like that, can you just highlight what that means for people
Sure.
who might not know?
Sure. So in today's world, sustainability is a big thing. Recycling is a big thing, right? So all of us,
Definitely.
hopefully all of us, recycle cans, plastic, whatever it may be, paper. This gives you a little bit of a different recycling way, I guess you could say. So if you have clothing and cotton, organza, satin, whatever it is, any type of a sock, right? Anything.
Wait a minute. Do people send you socks to turn into bouquets?
Yes, I have had very interesting
That's
people.
not something I expected.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've had undershirts, right? White undershirts. So if everyone knows what comes with white undershirts that have been worn, right? You get the yellow stuff. They send it to us because it was worn by, I don't know, their late father, God forbid. And it's, something that really means a lot. I'm a very emotional person, so I get it. We cut that away and then we're left with white fabric, right? Fabric is fabric is fabric. We then take that clothing, that piece of fabric, and we cut it up in a very respectable way. Sorry, I should have had that on silent.
It sounds
A very
beautiful.
respectable.
It sounds like Tinkerbell's going to come into the room.
I am a mama too, so completely. So we cut it up in a very, very respectable way, and we cut petal by petal by petal by petal, depending on what flower we're doing, and then we hand sew every single petal to make that piece of garment that is not worn anymore, that either it gets thrown away or put in a closet or forgotten about, gives it kind of like a new life, and then you get this beautiful piece that you would never know was an undershirt or a sock or a wedding dress or a veil or a
Well, I'm glad
button-down
that so
shirt.
far you're mentioning undershirts and socks, and nobody has meant, no thongs and things like that. So there
Onesies,
are
baby.
things you, what's that?
We've actually had baby onesies, and we have had
Oh,
negligee.
sorry.
So a grandmother's negligee.
Oh,
So that she wore years and years ago, and she, passed away. And it's like the satin little pajamas that, we have gotten that,
pretty.
actually makes beautiful flowers. Undershirts make beautiful white roses. I'll just put that out there.
That sounds nice. That does.
Yeah.
Are there any fabrics that you really can't work with? They're
No,
difficult.
no. I mean, what I do is there's different ways of making these flowers. So sometimes I use flame, sometimes I use fire, depending on how I want everything to bend.
Ooh. Can we
So
do a
a lot,
demonstration right now? Maybe on another call you can demo. Fire.
so what I do is that anything I burn, I'm so conscious, being a medical personnel by trade. I buy these masks that really hold everything in, so I don't breathe any of the fumes or whatever it may release. But I take certain fabric, and after cutting petal by petal by petal, I then burn the corners of the petals, depending on what type of flower I'm trying to make and create, so it can bend in a certain way and kind of have that natural look.
Ooh.
Some fabrics don't react well with fire. Some fabrics, like a grandmother's 1947 wedding dress, I keep on saying that year because I did make one bouquet from that. I took a tiny little piece just to try it out, immediately turned black. So I can't use fire with some fabric. So with that said, I have millinery tools, which, think of like a hair straightener or a hair curler,
Mm-hmm.
but in millinery, tiny itsy bitsy different shapes that heat up really,
Ooh.
really hot, that I do in a certain way, so I can kind of give it that natural curve and look. So some fabrics are a
Nice.
little tougher that way, but we've worked with lace that was like falling apart that I had to restarch, all the way to leather. I mean, you name it. We've worked with every type of fabric.
So tell me, how did it come about that you did your first project? Even before your first bouquet for your own wedding, were you a crafty person? Was this a hobby of yours?
I've always had art running through my veins. So I was always the stereotypical artist, as my parents would see me as. Um, I never went to class. I always wanted to doodle. I wasn't a bad student. I just was an artist. I was like, all I want to do is art. All I want to do is art my whole life. Then my sister, she's 35, no, 36 now, and she's a midwife in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But back in the day when she was 19, she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. So during that time of me being the artist, me only wanting to do art, my little sister was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, went to Sloan Kettering to get her treatment, stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, had about 15 rounds of radiation and tons of chemotherapy, lost her hair. She was the most inspiring person, and still is, in my life. But it was that moment that I said, you know what? I want to do medicine. So coming from my background of being the artist, I came to my parents and said, I want to do medicine, but I want to go all the way. And I had to essentially peel my parents off the floor, because all they knew of me was the artist, right? Ended up doing medicine and took it slow. Fast forward to, it took me about 6 to 8 years, something. It took me a long time because I did it slowly. Ended up graduating. I was going for my physician's assistant license, graduated with honors. And as I continued my education, I would get on the dean's list. And so I proved it to them and to myself that I do have something up here. But it was my sister that inspired medicine. So I did have that background of art, always loved it, still obviously do love it. Then I went into medicine, graduated with my pre-PA, and then it was my oncology patients, of whom I've worked with 8 out of the 14 years in my clinical medical career, that inspired this. That right there.
So how did they inspire you for that bouquet for your wedding?
Well, if you wait a second, I can see if I could reach it and I could bring it over to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would love to see it closer.
Let's see if I'm tall enough to do this. Okay, so as I said before, this is literally from 2011. I mean, it is still
gorgeous.
Yeah, it is still standing solid. So what I wanted to do for my bouquet is I wanted to obtain tons of different brooches or jewelry, fabric, clothing from my oncology patients of whom I was working with. So what I did is I did the IVs, I started the chemotherapy, I did the Mediports, I did the PICC lines and all of that. So I had a very close physical relationship and emotional relationship, of course, with all of the patients that came in. I cried with them. I'm a very emotional person. I held their hand through everything. I was incredibly happy with what I was doing. Then I got engaged, and I wanted them to be part of my day in some way. I wanted them to be part of my day. So I asked about 48 or 50, I would have to count how many pieces I have on here, for them to donate a piece of jewelry or a piece of clothing that meant something to them if they wanted to. So I had 50 of them donate a piece. So you can see all through here, there is so much meaning behind every single piece. I could even
stunning.
tell you. Thank you. This was from a 4-year-old's collection, and I remember someone said to me, "Well, why are you going to put that on? It's like all like dollar store flimsy." I said, "Because a patient's 4-year-old daughter gave it to me, and it's a butterfly, and unfortunately her mother ended up passing away, but this is probably one of the most special pieces, and it's all wired in." I also have my family members, so I have this right here, which is my mother's brooch from the 80s. And
it is so cool.
Thank you.
It has that kind of Alice in Wonderland feel to it.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I mean, I love this piece just because I personally know what's in here, and I was able to walk down the aisle with all of my patients who donated pieces. I mean, there are pieces here, for example, this one right here, it is from World War II. This was a mosaic piece. So, I mean, I haven't taken this down and looked at it for a while. You know, you get emotional because you have this attachment, and there's no styrofoam in this. So this is all made out of lightweight wire.
It is beautiful.
And thank you. And it means so much to me. And from 2011, it still stands strong. And you saw that it was up there.
Oh, yeah.
I use it as, part of my decor, but I know what is in here. So this is what inspired really not the business, but me trying out something new. I was still going for medicine when I did this. And it wasn't until 3.5 years ago from today, when I had my second daughter, that I decided to stay home with my second daughter, because let's face it, every single person is in the wrong business. We should all own a daycare because that's where the money is.